Hello and welcome to your Katie Bell Physiotherapy and Wellness Strength Exercise session. This exercise section is really designed to help strengthen the muscles surrounding the pelvis and up into the spine. This is great for offloading overworking muscles up through the back and is designed to help you rebalance some of those control patterns, so the way the muscles work together, and really get those muscles stronger and supporting your spine. We're going to start down onto our sides. So if you want to, you might like to grab a cushion or a head block just to go between your arm and ear. If you don't like this shoulder position, if you've got any problems here, you may prefer a thicker block with your arm in front and your head supported. Okay, so I'm in a little zigzag position here where my knees and my legs are zigzagging against my nice straight body. I'm making sure that my feet are in line with my hips and my knees are folded in front of me but not too bunched up. I want them down away from my body. Before we get started, I want you just to hug these ribs in and send that hip down. Imagine you're sat in a really tall backed dining room chair and you're sitting into that pelvis, so that way your spine is nice and long rather than collapsing and rotating down like we're going to have a little nap here on the mat. Okay, long in that position now. Gently engaging through your core. I want you to float your top leg nice and long so it's reaching away from you. From here, can you tap down and up? Now, I'm not looking for a Jane Fonda kick towards the ceiling. I just want you to come up to just above hip height and then lower the foot back down. So we lift and lower, lift and lower. We're getting this lovely little tapping action. It's nice and smooth. Now I want you to imagine you're going to tap your foot, but as you tap your foot, you're going to move slightly further back behind you. It's almost like you're tapping behind your support foot. Can you see how my leg is just going behind the sole of my foot? And as I do that, I also make sure my hip and my knee of this top leg aren't rolling here, and I'm doing sort of a can-can kick. I'm rolling the pelvis forwards and I'm tapping behind that foot. And you should find that this is really starting to fire up the muscles at the back of your leg and up through the glutes, helping you to get that lovely activation. And these are the muscles that kind of anchor your pelvis, anchor your leg, and take the pressure out your lower back. Okay, last one here. And when you're ready, take that leg to a rest position. So we started to fire up these side muscles and muscles around the back of the hip. Really great for when you stand on to one foot, when you're stepping, walking, or even just reaching down, creating that support there. Okay, I'm going to get you to float your leg up now in a flex position. Again, make sure these ribs are tucked in, we're nice and long here. And we're going to do a little scooping action with this knee. So I want you to scoop down with the knee and then scoop up. So I'm going down, I let the other foot land, and then I scoop back up. So I scoop down, let the foot land, now scoop up. So I'm leading with the knee, so it's like the knee goes down and then it leads up. It dives down, it dives up, that's it. Soaring through the air with that knee, and you'll feel that temptation. Can you feel it down here in the waist, how you just want to collapse into it as we feel this hard work deep into the hip. Again, we're building up that stability around the pelvis. We've got 3 more. 2, last one. Again, relax that leg down and give the hips a tap. Now we're not spending long on our workout today, so we're really going to be very specific about getting the very most out of our exercises. So popping your head cushion or head block out the way, I'm going to come and roll over onto my back. I'm setting myself in a nice long spine position. And by that, I'm not just sort of collapsing into the floor. I'm thinking about my lower back being in a soft curve. So I'm tilting my pelvis forwards and backwards till I find that soft bubble. And then my shoulders are relaxed and open. My neck is nice and long. Okay, we're going to go into a bridge position. So keeping the knees in line with the hips, i.e. they're not dropping together or collapsing out, and my feet are close to my bottom. I'm going to peel and lift my hips up off the floor, and then peel back down again. Hopefully you feel familiar with this exercise now. And if for any reason you're avoiding that curling action of the pelvis, maybe your physio's told you not to do that, or you know that's quite aggravating for your symptoms, you can just find this neutral position and do a lift and lower of those hips. I want you to avoid coming up and really reaching here through the chest. Keep these ribs heavy. Imagine your ribs aren't allowed to, your shoulder blades aren't allowed to peel off the floor. So it feels like a mini bridge. Okay, we've got our technique now, so I'm going to lift off about what I feel is about 3/4 of what I could do. I'm staying heavy through the chest here, and I'm going to pedal these ankles. And I'm going to start with one at a time. And imagine I've got a balloon or a ball between my knees. And if you've got one of those little Pilates softballs, or maybe a mini football or something like that around, just pop it between your knees and see if you can roll that ball between the knees. Now, as we're doing this, these ankles are really for distraction. What you might start to find is that if you tend to get an achy back with effort, you might notice it's creeping in. And I would imagine what you're starting to do is lift from here. So if that is you, bring those ribs back down, scoop the tailbone under and forward, and lower your bridge slightly. And just see if you can get it back in the glutes and into the legs, rather than into the lower back. You probably feel that difference there now. Okay, we've got 2 more pedals as you are. As I said, short workout today, so we're going to work hard. And when you're ready, peel back down. Okay, as you lounge your pelvis into neutral, so soft curve of your back, breathe out, engage your core, float your right leg up into tabletop. Okay, release it back down. And now breathe out, left leg up. And back down. Keep doing that with that out breath. Up on the out breath, release back down the in breath. And just notice as you do that, do your shoulders want to round and grip? Or can you keep that softness, that length through the front of the body? Exhale up. Inhale back down. Exhale up. Inhale back down. Last one here. Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to come up with our right leg, back down, and as that foot lands, peel straight into your bridge. Back down through those ribs, lower back than hips, and then left leg floats, out breath. Back down. Out breath, peel up. Out breath, right leg. That's it. So we're getting the body into this rhythm of using the front and the back of the body and being able to switch and change. Last one here, and relax. Fantastic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and I'm going to roll over to the other side. You might be facing, so you can just literally roll straight onto that second side. And we're going to come here into our zigzag leg position again. So again, we think about sitting into that dining room chair. Our ribs are tucking in, our waist is nice and light. Okay, from here, top leg goes nice and long. So reach it to the end of the mat. Imagine your trousers or your shorts are made of elastic and are gently stretching your leg to the end of the mat. And start with that lift and lower. And as I lift and lower, I can feel my leg just landing on top of my foot. And I know my foot is in line with my body, and I'm keeping long through my spine. Now, like last time, we're going to slowly start to edge that leg slightly back, so I can feel it now landing just behind my heel. I'm keeping my right hip shining forwards towards you. It's almost like I'm pressing it forwards towards the front of the room. My kneecap as well, trying to point towards you rather than up towards the sky. I keep it forwards. And that way I can really feel these muscles here at the back of the hip working. So we're isolating, being quite tough with our exercises today. Keeping the ribs in, the pelvis still. So we're being really picky with our technique. Let's do 3 more here. 2, 1. And when you're ready, release. Let that hip rest. Notice as you release, what happens with your body? Do you collapse back forwards again? Do you collapse backwards? Do you suddenly realise that, actually, I've really been holding my shoulders? Be conscious of that in the next exercise and see if you can reset those, just those little compensations as we float this leg up to hip height. Now remember, we're going to scoop down with that knee and then scoop up. Now we already have fatigued these muscles a little bit here. We're now getting the rotators working a little bit more. So don't worry if as you're doing this, you're like, oh, this leg feels like jelly, or it's not quite doing the movement I'm looking for. I want long, light spine. I want to scoop, scoop, like it's diving through the air. Feel this rotation coming here, up at the hip. And it's pressing that leg away from me, so I'm avoiding this temptation to come here and collapse. Long and open, that's it, go on, we've got 3 more. 2, 1. And when you're ready, release that leg down, give that hip a nice tap or a rub if you feel it starting to burn. Okay, I'm going to pop this block out of the way one last time. I'm going to come and roll over onto my hands and knees. If you need to, just to release off, just give those hips a sway. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some hip aeroplanes. Now the idea of this is to keep the spine really still, so I'm not twisting through the shoulders or dropping through the chest as I do this. This all stays long and the movement's purely coming from the hip. So I'm going to start in my little box position here. I'm going to step my hands slightly further forwards and just translate my weight slightly off. So I'm in this slightly stretched position. If this doesn't feel comfortable for you, come back to your box position. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to float my left foot and knee off the mat. Can you see that? As I do that, I'm trying not to hunch through my spine. I keep my spine nice and long. Now as I do it now, I'm going to drop the knee and lift the knee. So it's, as you'll see my pelvis is lifting and lowering on that left hand side. And as I do this, I'm trying to open up with those hips. So I'm not letting this left leg go anywhere to start with. I'm going to do 2 more here. So this time I'm letting my pelvis roll. And this is strengthening all around the side of the hip here. Okay, switch to the other side. Float the right leg off so it's just slightly flexed underneath you. And then lift and lower. And you really need to let go of the hip on that left hand side. Let it round. And then lift out of it, round and lift. Last one, and back down. Now sometimes that can feel a little bit strange, like can't quite feel where I'm meant to be going with this. Now, we're going to stabilize through that hip again. What I'm going to do now is keep this hip completely still, try and keep the pelvis still, and this time I'm going to lift and lower the knee out to the side. So if I show you from the front, as I'm doing this here, this leg stays still. I'm not, so before we were here, hitching the pelvis, this time I'm just lifting the leg, taking the knee out and slightly back, working into those deep hips, but as I'm staying still with my spine, I'm strengthening the spine. I'm going to do 2 more on this side. Last one. When you're ready, release that knee, reset the posture, make sure the spine is long, the shoulders towards each other, knee goes out and in, breathe out. We're keeping as still as we can now. So rather than letting the pelvis roll, use this connection in the core, long spine. Last 2, last one, and when you're ready, take your hips to a nice little sway, maybe a circle or a roll, and maybe after this you'd like to go into some stretches or some massage work that you've already learnt. Thanks for joining me in this short strengthening workout to help you improve the strength around the hips, the pelvis and into the spine.